Moving on to the. Here we go. Next. There we go. It gotta be some more than this. Pretty small.
This is just the C-section.
No, okay.
Start.
God.
Had a C-section, what do we do with those cells here? I'm sorry. This is the House Appropriations Committee. It is still Friday, March 1st, 2025. It is 10:15, and we're back to look at some more numbers. So Emily.
Great, so for the record, Emily Byrne from the Joint Fiscal Office. The spreadsheet, the first spreadsheet that I handed out is the C section of the budget, so changes to the current year appropriation. Should look familiar. I added a column based on the conversation from earlier. So this is the sort of construct that you'll see before you assumes that the $20 million that's for bond redemption stays in the bond redemption. It's not reverted or brought into the general fund. And this also does not include the $8.6 million of additional investments in VHCB based on the housing conversation that you just had. So that drops the amount of money estimated to be available at the end of FY25 for use in FY26 to $126 million as a starting place. Right, then we'll go to the next bridge. And this is the base changes. They're gonna get smaller on the next one, and I apologize for that ahead of time, but like I hit print and that's how they showed up, so
That's where they are.
what we're doing. All right, let me get it on the screen for best. Okay. So so what I've kept on this spreadsheet, so sections that weren't agreed on, so that were left open in the last go around are in bold. And then the ones that are in yellow are the ones that were changed from the previous conversation. So ones that are open, so I'll just run through them real quick, or do you want to go through them one at a time and make decisions, or kind of see the whole picture?
Maybe the whole picture, but
And then go back.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this leaves open items were the Ethics Commission positions and the Attorney General additional positions. In line 11, and then highlighted down below in line 14.1, this is the what Representative Squirrel brought up in terms of reducing the amount for the pre-charge diversion program, grants for that program, and then adding from 1.7 down to 1.1, and then adding in additional funding for crime victims advocates in 206.1 for 450,000.
B220, that's Center for Crime Victim Services.
Should be B220, not B2. Well, so should it be Center for Crime Victim Services or
Yes.
for victims advocates? Okay.
What's the number?
220.
220.
And I guess.
We have this problem a lot with, don't we?
Yeah, they.
Yeah.
So one question, so is that a new base funding or would that be one-time funding for them?
I was thinking base funding, but
Okay, you can leave it as is. Perfect. It's part of that. That's what it is. It's right where it is, and we'll just update the section number. Okay, so then the next one to go down is 25 and 25.1. This was the match for the FQHCs. As we discussed before, we pulled it rounds up to 90. It's what looks like 90,000, but it's really 85 for the change in the rate for the family planning code.
Same amount of money, just split over two lines.
Split over two lines, correct? And then on line 27, this breaks out it shouldn't be labeled DASSA increase, but there are rate increases for services provided by people like the DAs and the SSAs. The The first line is what was originally thought of as the 2% for the DAs and SSAs, but in looking at some of the codes that would have to change, that buys about a 1.7% rate increase. And then if we were to bring the rate increase to 2% across sort of all of those entities that would be impacted, is another $650,000. So those are on those two lines. And also that's open is the outreach and first call, the changes to the infant and toddler rates. The additional positions at the Department of Fish and Wildlife. Highlighted on row 55 is what was just discussed, the $2 million for the manufactured home improvement program. And then I highlighted line 56 below for the VHIP. So I've got 4.15, which was the number that was just discussed for VHIP on the one-time sheet, because it didn't sound like there was a decision made in terms of whether or not it would be a base expense or a one-time expense. So the money is here, but I'm
Okay.
not sure what sheet you want it on when we're all
And there's
done.
part of that is a position.
Yes.
Okay.
Is what position?
Yeah, okay.
And then I maybe should have unbolded land access opportunities board in terms of the decision there. And then the stabilization reserve, we'll do at the end. Will depend on what.
Right.
But that actually, so if the 8.6 million doesn't happen in section C, then that number will get more negative because you'll have less appropriations in FY25. If that makes sense.
I think that.
On the reserves, stabilization reserve. So the 8.6 would increase, if the 8.6 meant you had more appropriations in FY25,
That number goes up.
that number goes up, and because it's negative, it becomes less negative. If we don't do the 8.6 in section C, then that number will become more negative. Because you won't have to reserve as much because you'll have less appropriations in 25. So,
I think we're just not gonna worry about that line and let you
Yeah.
figure it out.
perfect. That works for me.
Anybody would like to volunteer?
No.
I don't think so. No, we haven't done that yet. So we're now gonna do one time. This has been the base stuff. And the one more spreadsheet she's gonna have now is the one time. Which is where the food bank is.
Sorry. I don't.
Like, I'd like this. We have a few people that don't have all this. Yeah.
I apologize for the suckers.
I'm sad, these.
It should have said, it says 10 PM in the top corner. You should have time, the one from today should have timestamps on them. Okay, so starting on the top line 2, bottom line carry forward from FY25, that's 26.11 that was on the sheet we just looked at for section C. And then, yep, okay, that just 2, that's good. The base funding to cover one-time appropriations is the 45.4 on the bottom of the other sheet we just went. So then the remaining open items on this or new things.
Right,
So in line 11.1 is the money for Advance Vermont, 200,000.
yep.
Where does it, and while we're at it, who gets that money? Do we know? ASAC, great.
Lisa?
I think they're going independent.
I think we need to look in the, let me look in the commerce letter.
Okay, we can figure that out later, but,
They've been with
Okay.
BSAC, but I don't think they
We'll,
really.
we'll see what commerce is.
okay.
like it.
And then, in terms of other things that were figured out, we have on line 29, second from the bottom, the bond bank for 7.5 million, the VHFA rental revolving loan fund for 7.5.
No. You're good.
Right. And then on the next page, VHFA middle income for 10 million and VHIP for 4.15 with a position. Currently being carried is an additional $5 million for VHCP. Oh, and I should say, the other one that is open is the Cash Crop Plus program
Right.
for 300,000. So,
That's the placeholder.
yeah. So this has another 5 million in for VHCB, 15,000 for the universal design, 300,000 for the recovery residencies. This I just highlighted, even though you've agreed to it, but this breaks out the urban search and rescue and the wildland fire money. The $1 million for the medical debt is still highlighted. And so if all those changes happen and flow through, it would be in the red, $8 million.
Okay. Well, let's take out the medical debt. If Jim were present. Maybe some others. This is not using any
This leaves
bond money
$20 million of the bond money
untouched at the moment.
untouched.
So if the minus 8.4 means the overspent or under.
You're overspent.
But that's assuming we don't use any of the bond money.
No, fail.
I'm just trying to find where Advanced Vermont was.
I think that was a commerce letter.
I've got that.
No, and we don't have to worry about advanced Vermont.
I know, it's just frustrating to me. I saw it somewhere, but. Oh, here it is. It says Advanced Vermont. My Future Vermont, My Future VT. I don't know.
That's
I'll have
the
to figure that out.
That's the web program.
We'll figure it out
You'll
over the
figure it
weekend.
out. So do we have the list of the others, or do we just talk about it?
Together, I can even show it here.
Why don't you show it?
We can add to it or, oh boy, how many spreadsheets can you have open at once? All of them. That's not.
You didn't feel like people were looking at you over your shoulder?
I didn't, I just have ignored it, and now I'm gonna be all conscious. Well,
And my current problem is I got like 112 spreadsheets open and I'm not exactly sure which one I put the couple things you told me to put on the spreadsheet in. There it is. I found it.
Exactly what you mean.
I've just been told that Advanced Vermont goes to the Department of Labor. There's always people in the room who know stuff. Yeah, just great. Thank you.
Yeah. Part of the. It was a good program. I talked to them quite a bit. You get that tied. Oh.
We need the Lynn's thing on there too.
It's there.
Oh, it is there. Oh, yes.
So your current hole is 8.24.
Conservation districts are 112.
Oh.
That's how it shows up, isn't it?
What?
It shows up like that, even, that's right, it's a 2.
And that's to bring them back up to where they were last.
You take out the second S in conservation.
You can spell on a full night.
I know, those conversation districts. Maybe we should say conversation districts.
Conservation.
That's good. Doing from this morning, the transportation mileage fee, electric vehicle thing, just to throw it in there because we talked about it this morning. The other thing we don't have in here is something to do with, Vermonters feeding Vermonters. That's the big.
Yeah, I mean, I
big one that you
can,
need to.
it's, yeah, there's two or three things from ag that were all similar.
Right,
But the two leading ones were the crop cash
yeah,
and, Vermonters feeding Vermonters, which was the request of 2 million.
right. So what if we put in, 500 for Vermonters feeding Vermonters and 300 for crop cash?
I mean, that's something, yeah.
300 for what? I couldn't.
Crop cash.
So Vermonters feeding Vermonters is a program that we heard about earlier today, I guess, was, being able to buy food locally to distribute to Vermonters, and Crop Cash is a program that allows people with EBTs to shop at farmers markets and be able to buy local food, and farmers get credit for what they sell based on.
We gave them 300 last year, so I'm just level funding what was done last year. So that is 12.82. If we did all of those, we haven't talked about, Lynn, do you want to talk about your?
Okay, this is the 802 opportunity is the thing that we've had with CCD, and it rewards last dollar scholarships to people who make under $75,000 a year. After they've accumulated all the other things, and it's been there through for a while now, 2 or 3, 4 years. It is very, very good at both getting people to start, continue, and to complete their programs at CCV. Goal here is to create the same program, it was done through VSAC. The goal here is to do the same program for the Vermont State University. Those are the old residential legacy schools, and do the same criteria. But we lost all of our critical occupation money for ARPA that was done. It was for nurses, all of the allied health, the masters in mental health, and but there's also the fact that we have a lot of people to work with need for these, as well as the manufacturing, technical engineering people that they just can't find them anywhere. So this is seen as a way to get people who are low to moderate income, who might be adults who is finding that last $800 to go and sign up for next semester or to start the program. And this gives them that last dollar financial aid. But it's very successful at CCV. We have a track record of about 3 or 4 years, and we're hoping to expand it to this. Because we're looking at enrollment. If we don't get the enrollment up, we're gonna
Do 100,000, Lynn, or 75?
75,000. It's not on 200.
This is the freedom.
Freedom and unity, and it's going to be.
Since they wanted 10 million for, VSAC wanted 10.
No, we
They
said-
wanted 5.2 for that, and there was 2 other programs taking.
And I don't know if it's
Send in
VSAC or
difference.
VSG, but it is
I think it's for VSAC, it's
for
Yeah,
VSAC.
but it's for the
for
VSC.
VSC,
Yeah, just like it was the 802 opportunity was administered by VSAC.
right,
I mean, it's financial aid, a program that they are
Right.
very familiar with.
right.
This would be the same thing, except it would also apply to the people at the other schools, the other institution. This is also your critical occupations, your nursing, your allied health, your mental health for counseling.
Right.
It's the same group of people.
Important.
Jim, you want to say something?
Total number. Yeah, I would like to put a little bit more in for the food bank. The total number is now getting very full. Because if we use the whole one, we have no reserve. And I'm just, we can do this, but I probably won't be employed.
So Jim, we're not using the whole 20. We'd only be using 12.8. We would not be using the whole 20. We'd be using less than the 14 that we use in the budget adjustment act. And we haven't finished on the rest of the pages yet. So this is like the top end at the moment. So,
But there's something missing on the other page, it's like. This state's attorneys, they're gonna have to lay off people if they don't get vacancies. I know it was suggested talk to the Senate, but. I'll go back to tell my state's attorney that, he's got a backlog. But okay, let's go back through, I'm getting uncomfortable, that's just me, not speaking for Lynn or anybody else.
yeah, no, and I know, and Lynn and I talked about using this.
I feel comfortable using that money.
And we're not gonna use all of it. We're not gonna use all of it. Mike?
This is just keeping up where we're at. You said medical debt, Bill, did you say, what'd you say? You
I
said full
said, I
debt.
said, take it off. the
So does
list.
that actually make our current whole 7.2?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. All right.
Okay. Yeah, I actually wrote it on my sheet, but
Yeah,
yes.
just
exactly.
making sure.
Okay. So let's go back to the base. Is base or one time? Oh, I was looking. Back to the base. I guess that's the big stick. Okay. So the first two are the Ethics Commission, the Attorney General's Office. I want to look at positions. The other one is the Human Rights Commission.
And I have a problem with the AG. My problem with the AG is they prosecuted one case. They mentioned, one case. And our state's attorneys, we've got 24,000 backlog, and we got 90 some odd murders, outstanding murders and manslaughter that haven't been prosecuted. The AG is intent on suing people and not prosecuting. That's a problem.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
These are two positions, one's an appellate court request, and the other one is
Recharge?
pre-charge administrative for the program, not attorney. And they both housed in the agent's office, so why don't we take it down to one position, keep it pre-charge and drop the appellate judge? The appellate attorney. Okay, $350,000.
Okay. So one pre-charge.
And the pre-charge is 120.
That's 120, actually.
120, so that becomes even smaller. Okay. 012. Okay, so then the other proposal that Trevor had was reducing the pre-charge, which was at 1.7 down to 1.1. And then highlighted below was the additional funding for the Center for Crime Victim Services of 450. So the two of those together, instead of 1.7, are going down to 1.55. Is that right?
No.
And that helps the fund hole that they have there. I'm gonna say yes. I'm not hearing anything, I'm saying yes.
Okay, so we're gonna,
I know, so I'm saying something.
the yes is to the,
And 110 and 45.
and we're all in agreement on the AG change, right? We're good on that?
Yes. Okay. Okay, and I think we are not gonna be able, at this point, To do the ethics one.
Agree.
So that we will remove. So then we're down to the, FQHC, splitting it out. It's the same amount of money, it just split out over two pieces.
Mhm.
You okay with that? Okay. And then the other decision point is down at 27 and 27.1. We had put 4.49, thinking it was 2, but it's not 2. So if we want 4.49, it's 1.78. If we want 2, we add another 650.
I'd love to make it 2, but I know you're trying to reduce right now, not add, right? But, I mean, it's, they're hemorrhaging staff.
I know.
Yeah, and we're giving 3% as a kind of standard to all the folks that get standard moves.
Yeah.
I'm very concerned about the network and the fragility of that network.
Yeah. Right, I mean, state employees are getting what, 6.4 or something like that, So, well, let's leave that in the way it is for now and see where we land, where we fall. I think we've saved some money in some other places. Outreach and first call.
I think it's also.
It's not a new program.
No,
They were trying to cut.
One of the hours, Henry, this program's been-
Right, yeah, so
oh,
it's okay, right, we're getting back into it, making sure we're paying attention. All right, so I'd like to leave that in. I think that's important. The rate increase for infants and toddlers, what if we made that 5%? Could we cut that down a little bit?
I think that's a good idea.
from 5 to 5.5.
From 5.5 to 5, yeah,
That's me, number one.
I don't know.
Hold on. See if I can do something. About $500,000. The, the,
Hang on a second, oh, sorry. If we made it 5, what would it be? If we made 5 million, would that be like 4%?
yes.
Let's do that.
$5 million. So if we go
I
to,
get 5 million.
if you went to 4.5%,
Okay,
you'd save $1,808,000 or $1,088,000
okay,
GF?
GF.
so 4.5%? Okay, are we okay with that? Dave, you're looking a little,
Well,
it's hard.
it's painful, but yeah, we gotta do what we gotta do. We
Yeah.
gotta-
It's hard when we see some of the other ones, so 4.5. So that number becomes 5?
Yes.
Okay,
4.9.
4.9, so that 13.2 negative gets more negative, so we save some money there. So that's about $1 million. Okay, we moved the manufactured home. I turned the page over because I wasn't seeing anything else on that page. Seeing anything on that page?
I think that's everything.
41, hit one,
Well,
40.
then we're over on the back,
You should highlight.
uh, Fish and Wildlife. Do we need that?
They lined it up with positions.
Okay. Okay, I knew I was missing something. So we're gonna take out the position for Fish and Wildlife. Okay, so those are additional positions. Where's the human rights?
Right, that's my fault. They weren't bolded.
Yeah,
She will.
yeah, I found it.
What line?
It's line 23.
Thank you.
Says HRC.
So I know they desperately need positions. I know they wanted a lot more than that. But I would really like to give them those two positions and we can do it from the position pool. So it isn't actually new positions. It's new money. But we're cutting things other places and they are swamped and we don't fund them well enough. And I think we need to, just like the DAs and the SSAs, I think we need to support them at least a little bit.
How many positions were they looking for? I don't recall.
6, I
It was quite a few,
believe.
it was 6, wasn't it,
Six.
Tom?
They were looking for 6 FTEs and 2 part-time. And then I emailed everybody a version of Biggs, the executive director of HRC yesterday. They were looking for, the most crucial needs. They had 4. They needed a full-time intake specialist, 2 attorneys and a paralegal. Just to try to catch up with the 65 plus cases that they can't get to right now.
Which I think is a challenge that we have in a lot of places.
Yeah.
Yeah, last year one. There's no food.
No, nobody gave, they asked for 3 and received 0.
Any,
No,
It
they
was-
received 0.
We didn't do anything. So I'd really like to do something this year.
They're just like, as I say, just like a lot of the
Right.
understaffed,
The
underpaid
outside,
people, they are bleeding people. They're doing, this work, this civil rights work, and in the face of the cuts at the national level, in all of these categories, they're gonna get more swamped as time goes on. So it's,
So I'd like to do, go ahead. You
Oh,
want
I
to-
was
go
just
ahead.
gonna say, can we do one more? In addition to the 2 or 3, as long as I've been in the legislature, 4 whole years. But every year I hear about this. I've observed and we've lost an executive director already. I'm afraid we may lose another one. At any rate, just saying how I feel.
So if you have 2 pools, does that mean it stays at 0.25?
We are creating new positions within state government because we can take it from the position pool.
Yeah, so does that keep it as 0.25?
That
What it is
money, you
now?
still need to pay for them, but
But
there's
doesn't that keep it at 0.25?
2 people is 0.25.
Why don't we do that?
Okay. All right. I think now we're on the other page. Talk about the manufactured homes. Which is in base, where did you get go? You have to be below that.
You can print below it. It's on the one-time sheet right now, because that's for the last place that it was for 4.15.
Okay.
But if it can move between either sheet, it won't change the bottom line at this point.
Right. Okay, so let's not confuse ourselves. Okay, so that's taken care of, and then the land access opportunity board was just moving dates. There's no change in money. Stabilization. And I think the rest of it's all the same. So where does that leave us? Emily.
You haven't done the same with the one-time sheet, but that leaves you with. So the gap is reduced to 5.5 million. If you do those other things on the list, conservation districts, freedom immunity grants, transportation money, arts council. Vermonters feeding Vermonters, there's $10 million that you need to find.
So we could, that's taking half of the 20 million. From the bond, so we leave the other half in those, with the treasurer. So we're leaving, maybe the first time ever we leave anything on the bottom line, which is what we're doing, but that leaves, allows for some flexibility if other things happen that we don't know about.
Can I just ask the question, so the CACFP, that, the 187.
182.
18.
I'm sorry, I
Okay,
can't
that's
remember
all
your
right.
name, but I can remember the number.
My name's Tiff.
Nice to meet you.
So I'm just wondering, is, is that, did we decide that was not in play? Or
That was not in play because what I got from others and other committees was that it needed some more thoughtful consideration about how it was actually gonna work.
Okay. There is a different,
There's a difference of opinion.
Sure. All right. Okay,
We're not taking anything out of the budget. You wanna say something?
Your House Education Committee recommended the 182 in their budget round because of what they heard from the Agency of Education. That it was, they were
Okay.
ready to take them.
Okay. I guess when I went back to them, that wasn't what one of the highest priorities was.
sometimes these small things, like I've said this before.
I know, they can make
Shut
a
up.
big difference. And I think we've done a few of those.
We have, yeah.
We have. So if we take 10 million of the 20 million, we balance?
Yes, you accept all the other decisions that you've made. So we
And that includes the other small ones that we had at the end of the conservation districts. We didn't really actually talk about the transportation, whether we wanted to do that or not, but that was included as that and that. Do you want to bring up that little list again? Spreadsheet number 93. Said you had 112 up there. So I heard a lot of support for the conservation districts to get them back up to level 5. Linda's made her case for VSAC. We need to talk about transportation. The Arts Council, we typically do every year so they can get the maps that they need to do their work. And then we added Vermonters feeding Vermonters. But we didn't talk about the transportation mileage-based user fee that we heard about this morning.
Why would the general fund have to pay for
Does anybody remember why the general fund has to pay for that? I'd be able to help.
that? I think that's.
Well, they had put 750, they had 750 aside, and Matt was trying to make a case this morning here, obviously, they're not gonna get the federal grant. But if they
Yeah.
get something more to move them forward to get started on, so not, because otherwise they're gonna be 18 months behind. So it was really kind of a
So what if we did 1 million?
start.
I thought that conversation was that they needed to put programs, computer programs built.
Right, that's part of what the 3 million, that's what the 3 million was, part of the 3 million was for, to get that moving along. So they got 1 million, they've got 750 set aside already,
Okay, so if we gave them 1 million, they'd have 1,750,000.
free up 400,000 to, or what you got up on the screen up there.
Yeah, so if they get 1 million. And then we can take 10 from the bond debt and then we're done.
After a recent.
Seriously? Okay,